What's good, y'all? It's your boy, the Conscious Coon Killer. So I'll jump on here real quick. I'm not sure how many videos I'm gonna make. I'm actually about to head to the store real quick. Get this snowing out here, but you know that's Iowa for you. But so say Happy New Year, Happy Holidays to everybody. It's probably gonna be my last video of the year or one of my last videos. Like I said, I might make more than one. I'm not for sure, but I at least want to get this one out here just to kind of have something close the year off. This is just something that kind of popped into my head the other day. I just figured I'd just go ahead and make a video about it, because that's pretty much why I made this channel, so I could do these types of things. I find it very interesting and kind of funny how a lot of black people, especially here in the United States, we talk about racial ambiguity or racially ambiguous people, but then at the same time will praise and worship these celebrities that are either straight up racially ambiguous or basically ambiguous themselves. Like, for example, somebody like Beyonce Knowles. Everybody knows who she is. No diss to her per se, but if you look at her features, she has, very, light to light brown type of skin. She's got the long blonde hair, kind of more of a pointy nose. She doesn't have, really big, thick lips. Any of these more stereotypical black features being super dark skin or kinky hair, really big lips or wide nostrils. These are things that people associate with black people as far as phenotypes, which those are black features, those are black phenotypes. But it's just really funny how people forget that that isn't exclusively the only types of features that black people have. But at the same time, they'll praise somebody like Beyonce, but then at the same time, I mean, they will bash other black people that do not have these, I guess, stereotypically black features, so to speak, like I said, the really dark skin, kinky hair, things like this, and say that, oh, well, they're not actually black. Oh, well, this person is too light, so they're not black, or, this person's hair isn't 4C, it's, 3C or something like this, or whatever, just whatever, right? And I'll peep game with these individual black folks that will say, oh, well, this person isn't truly black based on X, Y, and Z, but then you'll look at what types of celebrities that they find to be beautiful, or, whatever, or the representation of black people, and it's the Meghan Markles, it's, Beyonce, people like this that, are either half black, half white within the black community, or somebody like Beyonce who, I believe her mom is mostly black and like a little bit Native American. Her dad's obviously black, but they present her as kind of this racially ambiguous woman, right? And you'll have a lot of people, a lot of times that I notice, there's no bash towards black American women, but specifically, Beyonce has a very strong and high black American female fan base, right? So you have a lot of these black women, brown skin, dark skin, black American women that will almost promote Beyonce as the representation of black female beauty. But then at the same time, when they're presented with, a black woman from, let's say, Africa or some other area of the world, if they don't look exactly like them, they'll say, oh, well, she's not actually black. She's got to be something else. When in actuality, that same black woman that they're talking about that is not black enough has more African or higher percentage of African genes than they do as a black American woman. But then they'll say that they're not black because they're a little lighter than them or something like that, or they don't have a super wide nose, or they'll have 4B hair instead of 4C, as if all black people only have 4C texture. I mean, I do, obviously, Team Happy and Nappy, but there's a whole diaspora and broad phenotype of black people that are pure, 100, not 90 to 100% black, but you'll have specifically black American men and women, and I would say I've noticed more so with women that will say, oh well, this South African person isn't black because they're kind of light, or this Caribbean black person isn't black because they speak Spanish, or even sometimes outside of looks, and it's just really weird. Like, okay, so they're not black because they're a shade lighter than you, but Beyonce is the face of black women. She's got a pointy nose, very, light brown skin, got the long flowing blonde hair, all of this type of stuff. And then the women that will glorify her have darker skin, usually a wider nose, maybe the same type of slim nose, but way kinkier hair, darker hair, all this type of stuff. But she's the physical representation of black female beauty to a lot of these darker skinned black, usually American women. But then at the same time, once again, they will say that other women across the planet are not real black people because of either culture or language or certain features that they have. Maybe their hair's a little looser, or they have kinky hair but they have lighter skin, or or whatever, just any sort of combination. And I just find that really interesting. This just shows the levels of psychological damage that black people have, specifically here in America, but across the world. But I would say specifically here in America, I just find that really interesting. You have, black men that will bash the more light-skinned black dudes like, Drake, or the, I guess, biracial in his case, or, Chris Brown, who's also he's a light-skinned black man, will, you have darker-skinned black men that will say, oh, well, these guys are soft, these guys, this, that, and the third, they ain't real men. You have black women, darker-skinned black women that will say, oh, well, this woman isn't a real black woman because she's light. It's all of this type of stuff, all of this divisionist mindsets that we have. That's not a fault of our own. This goes back, decades and decades of psychological damage and social conditioning that's happened to us. But I just find it very interesting how, black American men will say, a light-skinned dude ain't a real man, or light-skinned people this, light-skinned people that, but then will glorify light-skinned women over dark-skinned women instead of just looking at all shades of black women as black women. They will then, almost fetishize, lighter-skinned black women. Just like you have, black women, darker-skinned black women that will say lighter-skinned black women aren't real black women, or that darker-skinned black men shouldn't be dating lighter-skinned black women, or the racially ambiguous type of women. But then they will say Beyonce represents them, even though they're like two shades different, completely different types of hair, all this type of stuff. It's like, what, it's like on one end, light-skinned people ain't real black people, but then on the other end, you will date these people with that same complexion, or you will look at them as a representation of you. It's like, what are you really saying? I am more of a Pan-African mindset myself. I look at all black people across the diaspora as black people. I don't care how light you are. We go from, we can go from super light to jet black, to the kinky hair, to more loose hair, to, a more wide nose, to a more slim nose, or a more pointy type of nose, or the big lip, thin, like blue eyes. Black people that actually have blue eyes, all sorts of types of stuff. I just find that really interesting. Something else too, these same kind of people, specifically, this is more so with, once again, black American women, some, not all, will wear straight textured blonde hair weave, right? And when people call them out like, oh, why are you doing this? This is not the way you naturally look as an individual black woman. You will have some of these women who wear this types of, weave will turn around and say, oh, well, you have Aboriginal black people from Australia and things like this, they have, they naturally had looser hair that was blonde, and they're black. So why can't I wear, looser texture hair that's blonde when, they're natural black people that naturally have blonde hair and blah, 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 which is true. You do have black people that naturally have blonde hair or that have more kind of looser texture hair. That's true. But at the same time, people will use that as an excuse to put somebody else's hair on to hide their natural black features, and will use other people's natural black features to say, oh, well, it's okay because they're still black in this context. But then at the same time, when it's outside, when nobody's talking about them wearing weave, and let's say a black man's walking down the street with a lighter skinned black woman who has looser texture hair naturally, they'll say, oh, wow, why can't that black man get a real black woman? Why has he got to go for the more light skin or, whatever like that? He's a darker skinned black man. Why isn't he? But that same black woman will have the same dark complexion and be wearing blonde weave. But then they will say, oh, well, it's okay because you have black people that naturally have blonde hair. But when they see a dark-skinned black man with a black woman that maybe has naturally lighter hair or naturally looser hair, it's, oh, well, he's a self-hater. Why isn't he with the black woman that's got the same color hair or same texture hair, or at least more similar texture hair to him, or more similar shade to him? But they will wear hair that is nowhere near similar to theirs, but then use other black people within the diaspora as an excuse. You see what I'm saying? Like, you see the circular, like, that type of stuff is crazy. And once again, I'm not just trying to put this all on black women. I just see this more with black women. But even like I said, with black men, will say that, oh, well, light-skinned black men are soft, or they're not real black men, and all this type of stuff. But then we'll brag about Chris Brown being one of the best, entertainers as far as dancing, and, then all of a sudden they're representing black men, or that same complexion that's on these lighter skinned black men, that get bashed by darker skinned black men, that same light complexion, when it's put on a Rihanna or somebody like this, oh man, she's the finest woman of all time, which Rihanna is fine, but so is Lupita Nyong'o, in my opinion, is probably the finest female celebrity right now, just in my opinion, right? But, people like Rihanna will get glorified over here, which, once again, I think that she's beautiful as well. But these darker skinned black dudes will bash lighter skinned black men, but then will say that Rihanna is the greatest woman of all time, and she's got the same complexion. You see what I'm saying? Like, I just find that strange. Or how some darker skinned black women, like brown to darker skinned black women, will praise a Beyonce Knowles over a Janelle Monáe, which, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I think Janelle Monáe is way more talented than Beyonce. Singing, dancing, acting, the whole thing. Because, Beyonce does all that stuff too, obviously. I think Janelle Monáe, only thing Beyonce might be a better singer. I think that you could probably argue, but because Beyonce's been trying to rap a little bit lately, which I don't know why, but I think Janelle Monáe's a better rapper. I think that's pretty much inarguable. I think that she's a better dancer and a better actress. Only thing that Beyonce might have on her maybe is singing, but Janelle Monáe can sing her ass off too. To me, she's better looking than Beyonce, all this type of stuff, but she doesn't really represent, black American women or black girl magic to the same degree that Beyonce does. Not saying that Janelle Monáe doesn't represent black women. She definitely does. There's definitely, been a pretty strong movement, especially this year with her new album that came out. Which, go check out her album. It's pretty dope. But overall, I feel like, even though I guess, you could argue Beyonce's been around longer, but still, why is Beyonce more so the face of black female beauty amongst black women? I'm not talking about in society as a whole. I'm not talking about what white people think. I'm talking about within black American female, the average black American female mind. they will pump up a Beyonce Knowles over a Janelle Monáe, even though Janelle is darker skinned than Beyonce. Neither one of them are like jet black, but you know, Janelle's more around my color, like, you know, brown, you know, not really light skin, not really dark skin, just, you know, a brown, you know, chocolate brown woman. Not dark chocolate, not, you know, vanilla chocolate or whatever, but just, you know, a brown skin woman. Beyonce's a little more lighter brown. I probably look lighter on the video, but anyway. But you know, rocks more of, you know, she'll rock an afro a lot more than Beyonce will. Beyonce pretty much only rocks the long, kind of straighter or wavier hair. You know, Janelle will do braids, she'll do the fro, she'll do it all, you know, all this type of stuff. And yet Beyonce kind of gets pumped up more within black, you know, women, black American women society or the mindset. But at the same time, if a darker skinned black dude is with, you know, some just regular, you know, non-famous black woman that's got the same exact features as Beyonce, he's a self-hater. But if that same black woman that calls that black dude a self-hater for being with a woman that looks like Beyonce, that same black woman will put on straight blonde weave and use other black people around the world as an excuse why, because some black people can naturally grow blonde hair or looser textured hair. And we use that as an excuse to say, well, they're black, I'm black, so I can do this too. But if a black man of my color or darker is with a woman of a more racial ambiguous persuasion, or look like Beyonce, who's damn near racially ambiguous, he's a self-hater. But you're not a self-hater for putting on blonde weave when your hair's not like that. But black women in Sudan or you know, Egypt or South Africa, these types of countries where you may have brown to lighter skin people as well as jet black people in these countries, they're not truly black unless they're a jet black person from Africa. If they're my color or lighter, they're not really black, according to black Americans. But Beyonce is the #1, you know, female recording artist right now over somebody like a Janelle Monáe. Just think about that. That's weird to me. It's something I want to say. But Happy New Year to everybody, though, for real. 2019 is coming, even though really it's not about to be 2019, seeing as the Earth has been around for over 1 billion years. 2019 technically was a long time ago, but as far as man-made years, you know, 2018, last day, about to hit 2019. So, you know, hope everybody's having a good holiday. Happy New Year's. I might make another video, but that's popped into my head. There's something really interesting, you know, black folks come in all shades and shapes and phenotypes within the black overall phenotype persuasions, right? And it's all beautiful. So just understand, just because a black person's hair is, you know, 4B instead of 4C, God forbid, it's slightly a little looser, that doesn't mean they're not black. Or just because a black person's skin texture isn't the same color as my coat, you know, they're my skin tone. I don't know if I said skin texture, but whatever. If their skin tone is lighter than the color of my coat, that doesn't mean they're not black, you know? So just something to think about. I'll probably make another video. It's probably going to be next year, tomorrow, something like that, about the same topic, but instead of different types of black features, just more so talk about different types of black culture within America, within this country, and all over the world, and just black people's opinion on what makes us black culturally, just like what makes us black physically, and just kind of compare the social programming that goes on with that, far as what we consider to be black culture, or what kinds of black people that we consider to be black based on culture and yada yada, and kind of compare that to this video about physical features. But yeah, black is beautiful. Love y'all. Happy New Year. And like I always say, this is the conscious coon killer. Kill the coon within me, and kill the coon within you. Peace out.